I'm Nikki.
And I'm Rachel, and we're the Stitch Sisters, and we're bringing you another pattern review.
This one is the Wilder Gown by Friday Pattern Company, and we know it's been a really popular one on Instagram. Lots of people have been making it. It's a fairly new pattern, and we fell in love at first sight, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I think it's one of those every, I don't know, every year you get maybe 2 or 3 patterns that when they drop, the whole community just go, oh, hello. And I think that's because that only happens when it's a pattern that's truly unique. There isn't another one like it out there. But also with this one, I think it's so on the money fashion wise. So we've been, for the last few seasons, we've loved prairie dresses.
Boho styling.
And that's exactly what this is.
Yeah. And the picture that Friday Pattern Company used and the styling that they used was spot on, and I think it was really unusual. So I think that's why it caught people's attention as well. And so I loved it. But I love Friday Pattern Company. They're a really good little independent pattern company, and I think they do great stuff.
I'd never heard of them before that challenge, Sew My Style, and the sunny dress pattern was one of the first ones. And I'm so glad that we discovered them, because I've made several of their patterns now, including my bikini that I
of course,
So if you are a sewer and you like pattern reviews, make sure you go and find our pattern review playlist, where you will find so many different patterns that we've reviewed before, and there are also lots of other playlists on there that you might not even known existed, where we've categorized all of the types of videos that we do. So go and check those out. And if you didn't know it, we also offer online sewing classes on our website. We have a student learning portal where you log in, you access your class any time of the day or night, and you can just follow along at your own pace. So go and check that out at www.thestitchsisters.co.uk.
So when we decided to make this, you had some fabric in your stash which was ready to go, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, I have to say, it's one of those moments, it happens a lot with the two of us. So we'd come back from holiday, and we'd been kind of relaxing with family. We were on an Insta detox for a couple of weeks. And a lot of my inspiration for sewing comes from Instagram. So without that, I hadn't thought a huge amount about sewing, but there were a couple of patterns that I had earmarked that I thought they need to get made this autumn. And then out of the blue, I got a text from this lady saying, I was thinking of ordering the Wilder gown. Do you fancy making it? And I was like, yes, that's so weird. I was thinking about it only the last couple of days. So that often happens, doesn't it?
It does. So we were both in the same mindset, and so it was purchased, and then you had fabric, so you were ready to go with that.
Yeah, so this fabric, I've had in my stash for about 3 years now, and Nikki bought it for me as a surprise, because I'd seen it online. I think the company was Oh Sew Crafty, and they had it in a few different colorways, but I loved the yellow, but I was on a fabric ban. We were only on there because we were sourcing fabrics for a class, and I just fell in love with it, but I said, no, I'm not buying it. I'm on a fabric ban. I haven't got any money for fabric this month, so I'm just going to leave it there. And then a couple of days later, she shows up at my house with a parcel and says, now, I know you really liked this, so I bought it for you. That doesn't break your fabric ban, does it? So
it was my excuse, because I wanted to buy fabric for myself, so I bought fabric for myself and fabric for you at the same time.
But because it was special, because it was a gift, but also had 3 meters of it, and a lot of the fabric I had in my stash is only 2 or 2.5, so there are quite a lot of patterns that 3 meters. I didn't want to use it on a 2 meter pattern, if that makes sense, because I have lots of fabrics I could use those for, and so I was waiting for the right fabric to come along, and when we decided we were making these, I thought, well, you need a ditzy floral. Well, not a ditzy floral, but a floral I think works particularly well for this style.
It needs to be really drapey. So
it does.
Nice,
and this is a lightweight crepe, so it's very, very drapey. But also, I just thought yellow's not a colour I would normally pick, bright yellow, for autumn, but over the summer and over the spring and stuff, doing challenges like So Happy Colour and that sort of thing really made me think differently about the colours that I wear and wearing things that instantly make me happy. And so I think that rather than, don't get me wrong, I will still be wearing lots of plums and mustards and teals and bottle greens and all those lovely autumnal colours, rust and all that sort of thing. But I also think that having some bright pops of colour in your autumn wardrobe are just nice things to put a smile on your face.
It's really on trend this year as well. There's bright colours right the way through the autumn and winter.
Yeah.
So like, and this acid yellow is definitely one of the colours. So you're bang on trend. Whereas I went full autumnal, and I did, just before I made this dress, and I bought the fabric from Fabricland, but just before I did that, I did a swap of my wardrobe. So I put away the summer stuff and I got out the winter stuff, and I had a big cull as well. So I've got 2 bin bags worth of clothes that are going to the charity shop, stuff that's just worn out, stuff that's just I haven't worn for a few years that I finally decided to let go of.
The only reason why it's not gone yet is because I told her she's not allowed to take anything to the charity shop till I've had a rummage.
She's got to have a look first. But I realised I don't have very many winter dresses, and I don't have any black dresses.
No, and black is such a good colour on you.
It's because of how blonde my hair is, and I don't normally wear a lot of black, so I'm kind of trying to reintroduce it a little bit into my wardrobe.
You definitely should. When you wore that black traffic people dress on holiday on your date night, and so many people commented and said, "Oh wow, black really suits you." And everybody I showed the picture to in my family, because I was going through holiday snaps when we got back, and I think I showed it to my mother-in-law and 2 of my sisters-in-law, who both stopped on that picture and went, "Oh, Nikki looks amazing." And I said, "Yeah, she doesn't usually wear black." And they went, "Oh, she should."
So I've taken that as a little hint.
Yes.
And I'm now going to start introducing a little bit more black into my wardrobe. So I thought, so when I was in town, I went into Fabricland and I found this viscose, which is jet black, but I loved these kind of golden flowers on it. It just said autumn
couldn't be more autumn.
So I bought 3.5 meters of it, and I thought, well, that's it. That's what it's going to be. I do have another fabric which I've got 4 meters of, which is from Minerva, and it's a double crepe, I think, and it's a pink leopard print. But not only is it pink leopard print, it's pink variegated leopard print.
Yes.
So that may become another wilder gown as well. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I quite like light colours in the winter as well. So I'm one of those people that likes kind of ice colours and greys and paler shades, almost like pastels, but in the winter. So I think that would suit. I've got jackets that would go with it and things like that. So I'm thinking of doing that one as well.
I think that sounds brilliant. So let's tell you a little bit about the design. It's really simple but genius at the same time. I love how simple and effective it is. So this collar ruffle here is actually built into the pattern. So it's a raglan bodice. So you have a raglan seam that runs diagonal. So that means that your bodice pattern piece and your sleeve piece looks quite similar in shape, because it's fitting together on these diagonals. So part of your sleeve is actually part of your bodice, so it's much wider at the top. But then it has this shape where it funnels upwards, and that's because it's going to turn down like into a wide hem. Which is what you're then going to use to create this channel with this ruffle here. So even though you're looking at a tie and it looks like a pussy bow, and then you've got this ruffle, and so your first thought might be, oh, that looks a bit complex, but it really isn't. It's really very, very simple. And then the thing I love about it is that the skirt pieces are not pattern pieces, they're just rectangles. And I often think on patterns, when you've got a pattern piece that's just a rectangle and you've spent time, especially if you're using a PDF, you've spent time printing it off, sticking it together just to cut out a square or a rectangle. I think it's such a waste of time and a waste of paper. When if you just give people the measurements, they can cut their own rectangles.
I did a little happy dance because I bought the pattern and then I downloaded it, and then I looked at it and I thought, right, I'll get this printed because it's going to take forever. It'll be like 900 pages or something, because it's a full length wide boho dress. I was thinking the pattern pieces are going to be enormous, and then I said to you, it's just the bodice and the sleeves. Because it was just made me so happy that they'd thought of that.
Such a good idea.
I think it's genius.
Do you know, that's the difference, I think, the big difference between really good indie designers and commercial patterns. And you know we love commercial patterns because we've done a class on using commercial patterns.
use them a lot.
And we do use them a lot. And most of our pattern reviews recently have been commercial patterns. But I think the key difference in indie patterns is they're designed by sewers. They're people who sew regularly, make their own clothes, make their own wardrobe. So they're more in touch with kind of what is needed and kind of shortcuts that might make it easier for the average home sewer. And I think that stuff is really appreciated.
Absolutely.
So the genius of this is that it's the same rectangle. You cut 5 of them. 2 of them become your top tier of the skirt and 3 of them become your bottom tier of the skirt.
Easy.
So it would have been so easy to just come up with 2 different shaped rectangles, one for the top and one for the bottom. But I just love the idea of having 5 exactly the same.
It's just
really
it's genius.
clever.
It's genius.
Yeah.
And it just makes cutting it really easy. You're not having to worry about anything. You're just doing 5 of the same thing and it's done.
Yes, exactly. And then we both decided to make a little change on the sleeve, didn't we?
We did, yes.
So I decided that I wanted a longer sleeve, but I decided to cut it as it was and then decide afterwards. And once I tried it on, I knew that I wanted a sleeve that was nice and full, and I liked the idea of having a ruffle that matched the one on the top. So what I did is I actually cut the sleeve off once I tried it on. I cut it off just before my elbow here. And then by measuring the bottom of the bodice and then the top tier of the skirt, I could work out that there was roughly 1.5 times the amount of gather in the skirt to the bodice. So using that ratio, I calculated how wide a panel I would need to add on so that I could have gathers on the sleeve here that mirrored the gathers on the waist. So I wanted them to be the same amount of fullness. And then I did exactly the same thing as we did on the collar here, and I added an extra couple of inches on so that I could turn it back and sew 2 lines of stitches to make a channel, except this time I decided to put elastic in rather than a tie because I thought too many ties would be annoying. So instead this has elastic in. But I'm so happy with the finished sleeve. I'll try and show you better on the pictures. And the length of it's kind of bracelet length. So by that I mean you can pull it all the way down. But actually I like it slightly up just so that if you have got a bracelet on you can see it.
Yes, perfect.
So you made a change with your sleeve as well, didn't you?
I did. So instead of adding length to the length of the dress, this is what I normally do, I added length to the sleeve because the original sleeve comes just kind of above, sort of between the elbow and the wrist, so it's coming in between. So it's 3/4 length. But I wanted a full length sleeve because I knew that this was going to be a winter dress. So I added, I think it was about 6 inches, 6.5 inches to the length of the sleeve. It comes down straight, so it's very easy just to add extra length to the bottom. And then I've added some shearing to the bottom because I didn't want it loose. I didn't want to add a cuff or anything like that. So I've just sheared it with a few lines of shearing. Now, what I realised with the shearing was that the actual sleeve itself was too wide. The shearing wasn't bringing it in enough. So once I'd sheared both to the width of shearing that I wanted, I then just tried it on, pinched out a bit and then just trimmed it a little bit. So I've made it slightly narrower.
Have you steamed your shearing?
I have, but I think I need to steam it more.
Yeah.
I think it needs some industrial steaming.
There's no such thing as too much steam. In fact, what you could do, a little trick, is next time you make a cup of tea, literally just hold the sleeve in the stream of steam that's coming out of the kettle and you'll get much hotter and stronger steam than you'd get from the iron. It all depends on how much steam you can get from your iron. Like mine, if I crank it up to 10 and I give it literally hold the constant button, then I get enough steam for some of my projects. But sometimes you just can't get enough.
I couldn't get enough, and so in the end, because it was so wide and I knew I had to bring it in so much, I just decided to take something off of it. So I took a couple of inches off of it. I can still get it on. It's still stretching, so I can still stretch it, but I would like it flush to my arm. That's the only thing that I've
have another go with the steam.
I'll put it
and
in
make
the
sure you
kettle.
steam it on the elastic side,
yes.
That's the bit that's going to shrink.
It's going to shrink in. But otherwise, it wouldn't pull up if I put a coat on. I don't like things like that. I don't like things that I have to hang on to put my coat on.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why I wanted a cuff at the bottom as well, just because when you're putting your coat on, you do want to be able to fit it the whole way in.
Yeah, but I would like it flush. So it just needs to come in a little bit. It's probably about 2 inches it needs to come in. But other than that, I did everything exactly as it was. I didn't add any extra length. I didn't do anything. Now, we made a medium as well, didn't we? We contemplated a large because our sizing would have been a large.
Yes.
But it was something like 62 inches on the medium on the hip.
Yeah,
and
obviously it is supposed to be oversized,
it is supposed to be oversized,
but it all comes down to personal preference. And again, if you've done our commercial patterns guide, we talk extensively in there about ease and the amount of ease in patterns, and about how it's about determining how much ease you like for your patterns and for your shape. It doesn't have to be what is built into the pattern. And we know that we always are on the smaller side when it comes to how much ease in our patterns. So we often will round down.
Yes, that's definitely what I prefer.
Yeah, and we went for a medium for that reason. Obviously, even though we size down, there's absolutely no reason to do a bust adjustment.
No.
And that's the great thing for anybody who is on the bustier side that wants to make this pattern.
Yeah.
You can check the finished garment measurements, and I think for the majority of people you might get away without having to do any kind of bust adjustment. And you'd be able to do a really simple basic one if you did. If you've never done a bust adjustment on a raglan seam, that is covered in our bust adjustment class, so that could help you there.
That's really useful.
Oh, and also another little thing, it does mention it on the pattern, but I think it's a really good idea, is that once you've got it cinched in as much as you want it here, it gives you the option to actually anchor your tie here, and that means you can wear it open, and I quite like that, because I just think it's got a slightly different look to it, but also it means that depending on how you're feeling that day, you get to decide how tight or loose you want to tie it. So I could tie it right up close like that, or if I just want it to be a little bit more casual, then I could still tie my bow, but I could maybe do it down here, and just have a few different options. Not everyone suits a really high neck like that, so I think that's a really good tip for giving you options.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think the thing I love about it is it's a really good layering piece.
Yes.
So mine is a really lightweight crepe, and it's almost a little bit sheer, to be honest. And I've just got it on with underwear on at the moment, and I think I'd freeze to death even today. But what I love about it is that I could have a whole outfit on under here, and no one would know. I could have a long sleeve top, I could have a pair of leggings, and no one would know, because it covers everything. But I could have thermals on,
still be stylish, but be warm as well, which is absolutely perfect.
But then on the other side of the layering, whilst it's a raglan sleeve, it's not too loose in the armpit here.
No.
Some raglans, the angle of them mean that you end up almost like a batwing or a dolman. You end up with kind of a lot of fabric in this area, and that's a bit tricky when you come to put a coat over the top of it, because you've then got all this excess fabric bunching up under your arm, and you find yourself having to only wear loose fit coats, whereas this is not snug to the armpit. It's very loose and comfortable, but it's not so big that you could easily put any kind of jacket or coat over the top of it. For me, a lot of things is that I like to style a lot of things with biker jackets. I just love a leather jacket. And if I can't put a leather jacket over the top of it because that's too snug, then it really does affect how much wear I get out of it.
Yes, absolutely. But I think it's really easy to style. I would wear it. I've got boots on with it today and tights. I would wear it. I've got some new DMs. I would wear it with those. I would possibly wear it with like flat ankle boots as well. Maybe even I would wear it with Converse. It just depends what the print is, and it's purely for comfort more than
I quite fancy making a midi length one. So I wouldn't necessarily just want to shorten the bottom rectangle, because I like the fact that they're in proportion. So I may well bring the waist up a tiny bit, but I think what I would do is reduce the length of both rectangles to be able to get it sort of more midi length. Just because I quite like you to get more of a peak of your shoe sometimes, depending on what you're wearing.
I mean, it's really long. I mean, I'm 5'10", and it comes maxi length on me, so it is really, really long. But it's a great pattern, so go and check it out, and we'll leave you with some lovely floaty wafting pictures.
If we can't waft in these dresses, I don't know what we can.
So enjoy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.